please join me in standing with the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Let's see. I don't see. Is anyone recording this meeting? Okay. Got news. Anyone else? All right. The agenda looks long, but hopefully we won't be here 4 hours. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of January 21st, 2014.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 21st, 2014. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any issues with the minutes?
They look good to me.
All right. Hearing none, seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes. The next item is Board of Selectmen minutes for January 23rd, 2014.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the emergency meeting on January 23rd, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Are there any issues? This was pretty short. Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes. All right. The next item up is award the bid contracts for the final phase of Back Bay project, the CDBG grant. With Mike Ping-Pang. There was kind of an informational meeting held last week. The engineering firm was there, Mike was there, representatives from Highway, John Driscoll and Ron Davin of Light and Water, and I attended as well.
Thank you. Okay.
And it was for basically talking about the work that would be done on this final phase. Discussions on the contract and the work, and bids received, and a contractor that Community Opportunities Group and Western Sampson Engineers feels to do the job. A lot of information was emailed. And Mike is here to look for a vote to award the bid to the contractor for that work. For the roadway, curbs, sidewalks, guardrails, drainage, and the water mains, which would finish up Back Bay.
Are we doing two separate votes?
Yeah, there's gonna be a contract for work for the construction, and another one for the engineering.
Engineering.
Yeah. So just to go through the construction part first. The way that all of the reviews came back pointed to the town, the best bidder in this case is actually not the low bidder. We did an extensive evaluation of all their references, projects. We ended up with bidders two lowest bidders that were about $1,000 apart. The recommendation is to actually award to the second low bidder. The low bidder does not appear to be qualified to do this type of work.
For the information of the board and people in attendance, I did a little checking on the low bids and our options. And in a city and town publication put out by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue Division of Local Services concerning this particular item, in March 21st, 2013, there was a case settled, Bar Incorporated versus the town of Holliston. Municipal contract awards are not confined in all cases to the lowest bidder. Bids can be based on other information in addition to the bidder's certification file maintained by the DCAM, along with the bidder's own update statement submitted with the bid. There was also another case back in 2008. It involved the same thing. And speaking with the Inspector General's office this afternoon, I brought this subject up, and he reiterated that there are circumstances that allows the awarding authority to use additional information determining the awarding of a bid as far as, best practices, the best person that you think can do the job, rather than relying solely on the lowest dollar figure. So we are within our rights legally, according to Mass General Law, to not, award the bid just on the lowest dollar figure, but rather the contractor that, in our opinion and based on recommendations from the engineers, that the bidder that can do the job and has the record of being able to provide all the services. So we can, we don't have to award it necessarily to the lowest bidder.
I will make a motion to award a contract to Jack Goncalves and Son of Ludlow, Massachusetts, in the amount of $428,843.50 for reconstructing the roadway, curbing, sidewalks, guardrails, drainage, and water mains associated with Phase 6 of the Back Bay Infrastructure Improvements Project, in accordance with the plans, specifications, and contract documents prepared by Weston and Sampson Engineers, with a bid closing date of December 23, 2013. Said contract award is subject to Jack Goncalves and Son providing the town with evidence of insurance and performance and payments bonds as stipulated in the contract documents, with the chair to sign.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions from the board?
No.
How many bidders were there?
I think there was a total of 12,
12.
but
I think a couple submitted their packages after the bid close date.
Yeah, we had two that
So-
came in too late, so they just got sent back with nothing.
So, any further?
Oh, and just $125,000 of Chapter 90 funds will be used as well to get this part of the this phase of the project done.
In addition to the 428?
No, that's part of.
Part of?
Yeah. So $395,772 is from the CDBG grant, and up to $125,000 can be used from Chapter 90. So that money has to be set aside.
And that, so right now, I'm hoping that it will come in well below that. We've already saved about $9,000 of that by pulling out the bidding part of the engineering contract, and we put that in the previous grant. Because because we had some money left over there. So there'll be a little bit more savings out of chapter 90. And the way we always word it is, by using the up to amount, we don't have to spend the town's contribution first, which is always nice.
Any other? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes. And now for the other subject would be for the engineering.
I'll make a motion to award a contract for construction, administration, engineering, and related services, including clerk of the works, to Weston and Sampson for a value up to $38,500, and to authorize the chairman to sign the contract with Weston and Sampson.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the board? Hearing none, seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes.
The last one is grant application related.
Thank you. Hey, do you need this? Do you need this or you have? It's hard, I'm like, I would have to do something with it.
You looking for a vote on this concerning the?
Yeah. So what we'll need to do, so basically what this outlines is the content of the FY14 application to be submitted on February 14th.
That's right.
This year's application is going to include quite a few different activities. Since this year we won't have a big construction project to take up the budget, we're able to put a bunch of different things in there. Over the years, there's been a lot of talk, once Back Bay is done, to move the target area for community development work to another part of town. And East Templeton has been at the top of that list for quite a few years now. So what we'd like to do is start up a new East Templeton target area. Within that target area, we would start a new housing rehab program. And we'd also do an infrastructure master plan for the village area. And that will basically be comparable to what we've done in Back Bay. It'll be a multi-year project, and due to its complexity, we felt like it would be in the town's best interest to get a master plan done ahead of time for the entire area. That'll save costs in the long run for design, and it'll also set up a logical phasing approach to coordinate all of our efforts to make sure everything is done in a systematic approach that will save us the most money and get it done the fastest.
As was done in Back Bay, a section and a section, and you knew from year to year, you know, what was next.
Exactly, and
So-
it definitely made that project run a lot smoother, especially once we, after phases 1 or 2, we really got the phasing approach honed in, and it made the application process pretty streamlined. It ended up saving us a lot of money. We were able to figure out which streets would work well together to maximize our resources. And so we just figured that that would be a smart place to start going into East Templeton. We'd also like to continue the Baldwinville Housing Rehab Program for another year. We still have an extensive waiting list there of roughly 30 houses. So I don't want to just cut it cold turkey. This would be more of a transition year where the application is going to include anywhere from 15 to 30 units of housing rehab, somewhere in that range. I need to pull all the budget numbers together, and that usually is very last minute. But in the past few years, we've only done like 4 to 6 units, so it's been slowly working away at that waiting list. And what this will do is just, we do probably 10 in Baldwinville, 10 in East Templeton, and then we'd also partner with Hubbardston, and they do another 10 or so units of housing rehab. And then to maximize the scoring on the application, we need to do multiple activities in each target area. So it makes sense to include additional funding for the Council on Aging outreach worker that we funded through the FY13 application. We would extend that another year. And that would actually count towards the Baldwinville targeting requirement. So we would get points for 2 activities in Baldwinville, 2 activities in East Templeton, partnering with Hubbardston, and Hubbardston will have 2 activities because they'll also get an outreach worker for their Council on Aging.
And that's, and those are the things that you
Those
have
are the
listed
things
here.
all outlined in here.
Do you want me to read the entire thing as a motion? Or?
I'll read the entire thing, just.
Okay.
This is the formal letter from the Community Development Office, Mike Pinkpank's group. And he's looking for approval in the form of a vote to proceed and try to get these things accomplished. Is the approval to submit fiscal year 2014 Massachusetts CDBG Community Development Fund one grant request with the town of Hubbardston as a joint applicant that shall utilize up to $811,728 of CDBG award money. The activities will be targeted in East Templeton and Baldwinville sections of Templeton, consist of ET Village Infrastructure Master Plan, Templeton Hubbardston Regional Housing Rehab Program, Council on the Aging Outreach Workers for Templeton and Hubbardston. The East Templeton Village Infrastructure Master Plan will assess the existing infrastructure and determine what is needed to improve the systems throughout the village. As potential grant award funds allow, the scope of the master plan will document the condition of all surfaces and subsurface infrastructure, develop a long-range plan to systematically address the infrastructure needs of the neighborhood. Funding for the Templeton Hubbardston Regional Housing Rehab Program will fund 3 pools of applicants, including those from the existing Baldwinville Hubbardston target areas and newly formed ET target area. Grant funds will assist roughly 15 to 30 units as grant funding allows. Templeton and Hubbardston Council on the Aging outreach workers will seek to link the low and moderate income residents of each town with the vital social services. These positions will be funded part-time and report to their respective Council on Aging.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions, concerns?
How are the surveys coming in?
So far, the response has been pretty good. I'm sending out a second round tomorrow. Ran out of stamps today. But we definitely need to get as close to 100% response rate as possible. The way that that HUD's survey methodology works out, I believe there are roughly 155 housing units in the East Templeton project area, and we need 125 responses for a ballot survey. So pretty much everybody that got a survey, please send it back.
Okay.
Let us know if the senior center can help reach out to seniors in that area.
Oh, definitely. I'll give you a call tomorrow
That's fine.
about that.
And if you submit that survey, it doesn't necessarily mean that you want your house work.
No, so
It
the
just
survey
shows that
was-
you support the effort to do
So
it.
there were, it was a two-part survey. Some households just got housing rehab interest survey. Send it back if you want. What we do is we gather all that data and make a big spreadsheet that says the East Templeton target area has self-identified 65% need a new roof, 22% need siding, 58% need windows, that sort of thing. And then we also will take all of those names and have them as contacts for when we get funded, and we'll make sure all of those people that are interested get an application to join the lottery for the waiting list. The other part of the mailing that not everybody in East Templeton got, only the people in the village area where we'd be doing the infrastructure work. On the flip side of the interest survey was an income survey. What the state requires is that we survey every household in the project area. And they just count, like I said, 125 out of the 155 or 160 or so. We just compile all that data anonymously and send it off to the state. It's one of those things that it's a bit of a headache to get through, and it's a little invasive in that you have a town department asking what your income range is. It's done as anonymously as possible. We send it with a stamped envelope that actually goes back to my office in Boston. Everything is just number coded with an anonymous number, and we just match it up in a database, and everything just becomes a number. And
Mike?
Anything further?
Yes.
You sent out how many surveys?
the surveys went to about 155, 160 of the income surveys. The interest survey went to every household in East Templeton.
And how many have you received back?
On the income survey, I think we've received about 50. And on the interest survey, I think there's probably about 125 that have come back. Which is considering on the interest survey, we did not give a stamped envelope to return it.
Oh.
Because that's more of just seeing what's out there. So I think that is in itself indicative of the interest out there that people are sending these back on their own time.
I want to see this done.
And you're sending out another round? Is that what you
I'm
said, or
sending
did
out
I misunderstand
another
that?
round of the income survey
Income.
to try to get as close to 100% response. We had to do that for Back Bay also. Back in 2005, 2006 was the first round of surveys. And it actually came to people having to go door to door.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And what is your deadline on that?
We have to have it all done by the 14th.
Of February?
Mhm.
Which
And
really
so we
doesn't
actually
give you a
have
lot of time.
I know. We have a site walk scheduled for Saturday morning at 10 a.m. What we've found throughout the years of the Back Bay project is that being out there in the neighborhood on a
Yeah.
weekend when people are around, people will come out, talk to us, give us ideas. It definitely comes into play a lot when we're doing design, because people can say, oh, I have a big leak here, something like that, flooding over here.
Okay.
But I think in terms of this project, it'll be great to just get some public input and generate some letters of support, that sort of thing.
Right.
And I'll also have the checklist of the survey and try to knock on a few doors if I can
Okay.
while I'm out there.
But you don't have to necessarily, well, you need the income one back more than you need the other one back?
Right, the
Okay.
income one I definitely need back. If anybody got that, I need it back.
Okay.
The interest survey, it would be great to get it back, but it's not required. And, if you didn't submit an interest survey, it doesn't eliminate people from the from the lottery that we'd have if this gets funded. We'll do a whole new mailing to everybody with applications and have an application deadline and everything like that.
Great.
And there's people that have been, that have already submitted applications into the Baldwinville program that would be ineligible for that, but we've kept all of their contact info. So those applications will automatically be entered into the lottery as well. There's like 15 of those so far.
Also, yeah.
Yes.
Are the empty houses in East Templeton, which there are quite a few, are they like set aside in the overall count, or are they part of?
They get removed from the
They do.
sample, yeah. Yeah, so part of what I'm gonna be doing on Saturday is trying to identify what's
Wouldn't
vacant.
surprise me if you find 15.
Yeah. And then, you know, if we cut down the sample by, I think, 5 or 6 units, it would cut our requirement from 125 to 110. So that would be a big shift.
Where is the sidewalk going to start from?
We're gonna start at the corner of Patriots Road and South Main. You know, one of the big ideas with this is to kind of see how everything comes into the intersection there. I know there's been a lot of talk over the years about what can be done with the intersection. Our funds can't do anything with that because it's a main thoroughfare. Part of it's a state road, part of it's a town road. But we have to limit our work to essentially dead-end streets, where we can do surveys of beneficiaries with a road like Patriots Road. We have no way of knowing who the beneficiaries are. But what we can do is tie future infrastructure work into that.
All right. All set? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes. Thank you, Mike. The next item on the agenda is an interim town administrator. Jeff Ritter left. So between now and probably till July 1st, the new fiscal year, hopefully in that time frame we can hire a full-time administrator. But in the meantime, it's really important for the town on a lot of fronts to have someone in there, at least part-time. There's a lot of things that need work on. There's a lot of things that need looking at. The budget is number one. With the experience and knowledge that the only candidate that showed interest in the position. He has a lot of experience, and we can use that. As a matter of fact, he's doing the same thing in another town to help us in the process of finding a full-time town administrator, along with helping us out with things like the budget and things like that. That we all know that we need a full-time person in there to do most of the administrative, the town business stuff. The gentleman is here tonight. His name is Mr. Robert Markle. He's standing right there. I'll briefly cover his resume. I don't know what we did to deserve this, but
Don't scare me.
he's been the chairman of the Springfield School Committee. He was a city councilor in the city of Springfield. And he may or may not have had a little fun afterwards. He was mayor of the city of Springfield. He was in a Boston management consortium. He was the town administrator for the town of Norfolk for 4 years. He was the town manager of the town of Ipswich. He was the town manager in the town of Kittery. And he is now an interim town administrator in the town of Northfield, just up the street. And as I said, they're in the process of doing the same thing that what we're doing now, is looking for a full-time administrator, and he is acting as an interim administrator. Bob, if you'd like to say a couple of
Anyway,
words.
questions, I can, that's the thumbnail. I was born and raised in Avondale, Pennsylvania, a little town that has not yet reached 1,000 citizens. I've lived in Massachusetts all my adult life. I did retire in the Massachusetts state system, and so I'm not eligible to work full-time anymore. I am able to earn a certain small amount of income each year, and thought I would be retired, but like many retirees, after 7 or 8 months, I got a little bit antsy, and an opportunity arose in Northfield. They're well into the process of recruiting a permanent town administrator, and my work there is 2 days a week. It'll phase out, I think, in February. And anyway, I was in touch with your prior administrator, and came over, met the selectmen a week ago, and they asked me to come here tonight, and I would look forward to an opportunity to assist the town. I have 2 more days in my week, and once the Northfield work is finished, then I would have more time if that's needed in the town. Answer any questions you might have. Someone, I have to tell you the story. Everybody's in the budget process, and someone sent out an email statewide today saying, how would you best describe the budget process in a Massachusetts town? The answer was, it's like tap dancing on quicksand. That was as clever a description as I've ever seen. Well put.
So you will notice that there is a proposed executive session within this meeting. I put that in there. If the board appoints Mr. Markle, we would then move into an executive session. We just go into Selectman's office just to talk hours and money and go over what is available in the budget. I think that's cleaner and easier done in executive session, and then whatever the results is, we'll come out and say whether we have a deal or not. So I would, if there are any questions from the board, we met with him and a couple individuals were there. Mr. Spring was there, the chief of police came, the reporter from the newspaper was there, and it was just informal, just kick the tires of Mr. Markle and him of us, just talking about the town and the situations and things like that. And I asked if he could come to tonight's meeting. My thought was to put it before the board to vote to appoint him or not. And then after that vote, then we'll either go into executive session or not. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Bob Markle as the interim town administrator for hours and yet to be determined.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions on the board?
I don't really have any questions, but it was a nice opportunity to sit down for, like, informally with Mr. Markle and really reviewing his resume is very impressive, and the questions about, I think that he can help us weed through the process of having a town administrator and not a town coordinator, and bringing, we talked about bringing department heads together and really, right now we're in crisis mode with a budget, and that, he can really, like tap dancing in quicksand, but just really, I don't know, I'm thrilled to have that opportunity to have someone like Mr. Markle want to come and, even on a limited basis. So, absolutely, I agree.
Anything else?
Yes.
I just want to say I think it's a great idea, and I think in doing that, the town is moving in the proper direction. It's been talked about for a long time, and I think we really need to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes. All right. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session
I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, subsection 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel.
Second.
And we will be reconvening back into open session in this room and continue on with this meeting. Any further? Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And yes. We're going to adjourn to the Selectman's office. Shouldn't be in there too long. And shall return.